Being a doctor is one of the most respected and rewarding professions, yet many doctors feel frustrated with their careers and their finances. After years of education and being committed to patient care and improving the lives of others, they feel underappreciated, overworked, and financially trapped. Hi, I'm Dr. Shamim Nazir. I've been an ER doctor for 25 years, and I created the Doctor Investor to really help solve this problem. So let's get into the top 3 reasons why doctors feel so frustrated with their careers and their finances. Well, first of all is healthcare itself. The crushing administrative burden and bureaucracy of healthcare is really changing how doctors feel about medicine. Medicine isn't just about patient care anymore. It's a business, we've realized, and our patients are clients. We need better metrics, better speed of delivery, and better patient satisfaction reviews. We have so much more to do on the side of the business. Doctors are spending more time dealing with paperwork, electronic health records, insurance companies, than they are with patients. There's a study that showed that doctors spend 2 hours on administrative tasks for every hour of patient care. That is a lot of work that we're doing. That has nothing to do with why we went to medical school and what we are committed to. So of course that's very frustrating. The excessive workload, the administrative burden leads to job dissatisfaction and disillusionment and burnout. Furthermore, it causes a loss of autonomy. Doctors feel like they're not in charge of their practice and in charge of their patient treatment decisions. So what's the solution? Well, we can try to change healthcare. We can create better workflows or delegate these administrative tasks, but that's a really difficult thing to do, and I realize that. It's not easy to change healthcare, and it's certainly not going to change probably in our career or our lifetime. It's going to take decades of work to really make a positive impact. And of course, we should still do that because we've got to, hopefully for future generations of doctors and patients, make healthcare work better. And a lot of doctors are leaving the traditional large healthcare systems and moving into private practice or concierge medicine. And then hospital-based physicians like me can go into what we call locums to do temporary work to have more flexibility and control over our schedule. But of course, this also may add to the problem. More doctors becoming concierge physicians might take away from the number of primary care doctors available for the general population. The cost of hiring a concierge doctor is simply not feasible for everyone. It's a solution for potentially the provider, but it's not always a solution for the healthcare system at large. The second reason why doctors feel so frustrated with their finances is because of their high debt burden. Most doctors are graduating with $200,000 or more of student loan debt. This is a lot of money to have to pay off when you're just starting out. And when we graduate from residency or fellowship, a lot of life is going on. We're starting families, moving across the country. Many things are happening that are adding to our expenses, and unfortunately, a lot of doctors get caught up in the high income and want to spend more than maybe they should, and then they add on to that as they go, and that is what we call lifestyle inflation that happens, causing us to take on more expenses and more liabilities. And of course, doctors, like most professions, are not getting any kind of financial education. Medical school is certainly not set up for that, so we don't have that financial education to really be prepared for what's to come. Also, we have tax burden because most doctors are employees. They're high-earning W-2 employees, so they are in a very high tax bracket. So they're also paying a lot of taxes, and that is adding to their frustration and their inability to accumulate wealth and feel more financially secure. So what can we do about all that? Well, number one, try to borrow as little as possible, and of course at the lowest rate, and then pay down that debt aggressively. Make that a priority. And then don't get caught up in the lifestyle inflation and try to reduce your expenses and your liabilities. And of course, work with others who are in the financial industry or in the investment world to understand how these different investments work and how you can leverage them to build your wealth and build your financial security. Now, the third reason why doctors feel so frustrated with their careers and their finances is the work-life balance. We don't have a lot of that because there's so many demands on our time, and so a lot of doctors are required to work more more than they want to, and their hours are irregular, they're taking weekends, overnight calls, which we all have to do regardless of the flow. That's just how healthcare is set up, that somebody has to be available at all hours of the day. So somebody has to cover those hours, and that's us. So that obviously is taking away from our time to do other things and our time from other people in our lives. So it's leading to chronic fatigue and stressed relationships, whether that be at work or at home. And it creates a lack of fulfillment because we went into medicine for that patient interaction. And we want to have a nice interaction with our patients, and we want to think about the pathophysiology and come up with a differential diagnosis and do the diagnostics. That's the real joy of practicing medicine. But when we're overburdened by the administrative tasks or our work schedules, that decreases fulfillment that we wanted to derive from the practice itself. And that also creates a tremendous amount of frustration with physicians. So what can we do about that? Well, we need to have more set boundaries. We can't be everywhere at all times. So we have to cut back our hours. We have to be reasonable in how many hours we work. And we have to prioritize some time off, even if to just stay home. Doing something that also fills your cup, helps you recover and restore yourself. That's also very important. And that could look like a lot of things. It could look like exercise or meditation or spending time with loved ones. But we have to make sure that we discover what is important for us to restore ourselves and make that a priority. Also, exploring non-clinical options is important. It is possibly an income stream, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be a way to express ourselves and to develop new skills and be more creative. I think having that outlet is really important to our sense of well-being and sense of feeling alive and acknowledged. I think more than just creating a side hustle or a passive income stream. But of course, creating that side income is also really beneficial because it provides you a buffer. So you're not dependent on your paycheck. So if you do need to take time off or you need to cut your clinical hours, you're not feeling financially stressed. So I think that's another good reason to create some sort of passive income, whether it's through investments or a side business. It's still something that should support you in your journey. It should support not just your financial life, but your personal life. Doctors dedicate their lives to helping others, but the system often leaves them feeling overworked, underappreciated, and frustrated. So we've got to address those main causes of frustration. First, the administrative and burdens and the healthcare bureaucracy. What can we do as a community to help reduce that for all physicians? And secondly, the debt and financial problems that doctors are facing. How can we reduce, of course, educational debt? And how do we borrow less and pay that off aggressively? And then be wise in our choices and borrow less going forward and accumulate less and have fewer expenses and liabilities. And thirdly, taking care of ourselves and developing a positive work-life balance. And I know that's really tough to do, but we've got to create some system for ourselves to restore ourselves, to recover, and create boundaries, decide how much we're going to work, how we're going to work, and explore alternatives, whether that be, changing your practice style or going part-time or the location you're working. All of these factors can contribute to how you perceive your career. Because your career should support your life, not consume it. So I hope that was helpful. Please like and share and comment and let me know, what do you do to address these concerns in your life if you're a doctor or healthcare provider? And if you want to talk about some other topics, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.